I would say step one in stopping seeking approval from an emotionally immature parent is to shift your goal. Stop trying to get a different parent and start building a different response. When approval is the goal, every interaction becomes a test that you're hoping to pass. When self stability is your focus instead of their validation, emotional detachment has begun. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean it changes overnight. It does mean that you start noticing when you're over explaining, soothing them, or performing in hopes of being seen differently. The most efficient route is individual therapy with someone who understands attachment, family systems, even troubled relationships is helpful. But therapy can be expensive. And if you're unable to access it, there are steps that you can take on your own. If you have like insurance, though, that covers any therapy for a year, even a limited number of visits, I would highly advise taking advantage of that. That's exactly how I started this healing process. And you really do make a lot more progress in less time if you're working with a professional, and even working with one for a short period can give you a lot of guidance on how to proceed in the future. So, things you can do on your own. You can track your approval expectations. After you have an interaction with your parents, write down what you had hoped for prior to going in there and then what actually happened. And then also note how you felt when you did not get the reaction you had hoped for. This can help make the pattern visible. Naming your emotions is also very important. It sounds very simple to name your emotions, but oftentimes we have not been taught to do so. Naming the emotion separates the individual from the behavior, which can help one not feel so much shame or be overly critical. And it gives us a framework for what emotions and issues repeatedly come up, which can help with forming a path for healing and emotional processing. We're not naming emotions to judge them, but to label them. Emotions aren't inherently good or bad, they're information. They are signals about your environment and your body. Naming sounds like, I feel dismissed. That makes me angry. I am anxious. I feel like I'm trying to prove something. Naming the emotion reduces reactivity and builds self awareness. Reduce over explanation. Practice giving short answers and letting silence sit. Approval seeking often shows up as long justifications. Do this with everybody. Pay attention to how often you end up over explaining to others in your life. Most people actually want a simple response. If they ask you a yes or no question, they want yes or no. They don't want, yes, I did that, but I did it because, and then a whole paragraph. We tend to give too much information as a trauma response, and most people don't want all that detail. And anyone that is actually trying to harm you will weaponize that extra information. You're better off to just use less words. Create predictability. Decide in advance what topics, what tones, what behaviors you will not accept, and what your boundary is. If it's crossed, follow through. Consistency matters more than intensity. If you set the boundary that if you name call me during this conversation, the conversation is over. And then during the conversation, the person insults you in the conversation. It's up to you if you want to give them one reminder. Say, if you do that again, it's over. But definitely after one reminder, I'm out of here. Find support elsewhere. Emotionally immature parents cannot be gone to for emotional support. You end up feeling worse than you did before you spoke to them. Friendships, journaling, support groups, and even self reflection helps shift your focus inward, where healthy validation comes from. Having supportive friends can actually reduce the self-doubt that the emotionally immature parent instilled. You begin to have faith in your own perception and the fact that you are a competent adult capable of recognizing what has happened in your own reality. Expect discomfort. Detaching from approval at first feels like guilt, sadness, or anxiety. This does not mean that what you're doing is wrong. It means that old systems are being interrupted. If you can't access therapy, the best place to start is observational. Start noticing your thoughts, your feelings, your body's actions and reactions without immediately acting on them. Awareness creates a gap between the trigger and the response. From there, emotional detachment is not about becoming cold, it's about becoming less hooked. Have a good day.